Mars Defense Force works under German High Command, and they work side by side with several American components. The Space Marines are one of them. Solar Warden is aware of them, but I'm not sure how much Solar Warden knows, because we didn't interact a lot, but I know that when they came to the ICC bases, they would make sure that they checked in with us before they did, because our policy was if you didn't check in with Mars Defense Force, you got shot down. That's actually what happened to the American and Soviet and later Russian probes that were sent to Mars. They didn't check in with Mars Defense Force, so they got shot down. That's the short version. Mars Defense Force has satellites in orbit. We have a specific flight path that you have to take into Ares Prime. If you've never been to Mars before, if you give us where you're going, you'll be escorted in and out. Mars Defense Force takes it seriously that we have already had a long-standing war with the Raptors and the Mantids. We finally achieved territorial treaties that everybody's willing to live with. There are some parties that are not happy, but they're willing to live with the results. And they really didn't want outsiders. They were very picky about which humans they accepted. You had to have a certain IQ level. They're trying to create a master race there. Something that is a superhuman, smarter than Earth humans, stronger than Earth humans. And in the process, they've completely deprived all freedom. It's a police state run by the military. It's not a fun place to be, but at the same time, they're creating a kind of human race that's superior in most aspects to what we have on Earth. They took the cream of the cream in the 60s and 70s. Remember, I don't know if you're old enough to remember, they talked about the brain drain then.
Yes, I'm familiar with it. I obviously wasn't around when it happened, but...
The brain drain was because they were taking those people to Mars and Ceres. The two colonies were set up in competition with each other. In the German system, everybody has a competitor. The idea is if you compete with somebody all the time, then both will improve. And they do give you rewards, which they never do on Earth. But in the German system, you always have a competitor, and if you win, you will be rewarded. Things that matter in that culture. But they were deliberately taking the cream of the cream. And they made them all kinds of promises, but when they got to Mars and Ceres, they were basically slaves. The idea was to get these top-notch people and have them in their own culture. And the result was that stock was removed from Earth. So we, average, ended up dumber. And they ended up a lot smarter because they didn't have the dumber people. The only way the average human on Earth now is going to be allowed to Mars is as a slave. And most of them are converted into cyborgs and sold to ETs.
No, that wasn't Mars Defense Force doing that, right?
Um, Mars Defense Force guards those ships once they're into Mars space, and they know what's on the ships, so they're complicit.
So from what you're describing, it sounds like Mars Defense Force is akin to like Homeland Security, kind of like a police force.
It's a police force and military because of the wars. I had very military applications. It's more like Mars Coast Guard plus a militia and police all rolled into one. And since there is no freedom allowed on the planet, you step out of line and you're zapped. Most of the citizens have chips where they get a sharp pain if they even think a thought that's not acceptable. Everybody's monitored by the central computer at the colony that they're assigned to. Ares Prime has a quantum computer that is self-aware. Most of the larger ships have quantum computers that are becoming self-aware. So yeah, there's tech out there that'll blow your mind. Seeing what was done with cybernetics in Mars Defense Force and in Nacht Waffen is why I'm so against the singularity. I have friends who claim that it'll be completely voluntary. I don't believe that. What we have seen in other planets and systems is that once the AI starts voluntary, pretty soon you've got quantum computers running the culture, and before long, to compete for a job, you have to become cybernetic. And it becomes a matter of personal survival. And at that point, it's no longer voluntary. And there's always a few holdouts, but eventually the cybernetics will hunt them down and kill them as competitors. And eventually the AI aspect will kill off all of the carbon-based life forms in that system. So you end up with a silicon-based system. To be honest, there is not a galactic federation of light, but there is a federation of planets. And the Federation has said if Earth does not stop AI, that Earth is going to be sterilized because they will not allow it out of this system. That's part of the problem that they're having with the Draco, is that the Draco have embraced the AI. So that's the base of the bigger war out there that we have been dragged into on the side of the Draco. And I really do not see how any human-based alliance is going to stop the Draco. I've worked with them, I've worked beside them, I've worked under them. Their empire may be in decline, but they're still more powerful than anything we've got. And there was no rebel alliance when I was sent home in 2014. So whatever is out there, if anything, is 3 years old or less. What do they have that could stand up against the Draco?
Okay, so how did your service in the Mars Defense Force end?
Okay, since I was genetically modified, I was not supposed to have a lover. But everyone else in the German fleets, all of the German services, are encouraged to have lovers. So I snuck one. And I was sent out to investigate a specific raptor nest. And I found my lover being dinner. And I did what every red-blooded American woman that sees the man she loves being killed would do. I panicked. Except that I was connected to a fighter ship with multiple weapons. And the ship's computer interpreted the panic as fire everything. And I completely took out the nest and all of the captured humans. And the computer sent a message back to headquarters describing the panic. And so they rephoned and rescued all the humans. So all of them survived. The raptors were completely destroyed. And Mars Defense Force decided I was emotionally unstable and unsafe to be trusted with those weapons. And so they transferred me to Nacht Waffen as punishment.